Welcome to Natural Horsemanship Solutions. This is Laura working with Phoenix today. She's going to be showing you how to work with a horse that's herd bound. And before we even get to this point, we've done a couple things to help Phoenix and his herd bound issues by putting him out in a field by himself for a little bit. Usually I recommend that horses always go out with other paddock buddies. But in this situation where he's developed a bit of a dependency on two other horses he's really attached to in the paddock, it's good to give him some time by himself out in a field to let him realize that he doesn't need those other horses, that he's going to survive without them, and that he can still be okay, and that's going to help him to build some confidence on his own. And then once he works through these issues, we'll put him back out in the paddock with some other horses. And because he's the type of horse where he tends to get really attached to other horses, we'll probably mix up his turnout a little bit, and we might end up changing his paddock buddies so that way he doesn't get too attached to anybody in particular. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring him into the arena, and you'll notice that when we start working with him today, we're not going to change his blanket at all. We're just going to leave the blanket on. So the reason we're going to do that is because if the horse is herd bound and you're going to bring them into the barn and they're going to be calling and neighing and running all over the place and trying to leave, they're not going to be standing nice and still for you to take off the blanket. And instead you're going to have to deal with a horse that's being antsy, and you're not going to be setting them up for success. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to bring him in, and Laura's walking him around now, and we've got a couple people to help us. We've got right now a different horse that's in the ring. It's not the same horse that he's attached to, but we're going to keep that horse in the other end of the ring. And you'll notice that we're walking Phoenix by the door, and the door has been left open. Now, depending on how herd bound your horse is, you may have to shut the door to the ring just for safety reasons, and walk your horse around with the door shut and then open it up to take them back out. But right now we're just getting a feel for how anxious is he. And so he does have the other horse in the end of the ring for a little bit of comfort. And then so now what Laura's going to do is just send him out on a few circles, and what she's actually doing is asking him to go out on a walking circle. We don't want him to work into a sweat. We don't want him thinking about running forward and going forward. We just want him to stay at the walk. So you'll notice that she's wiggling her rope to ask him to walk. And then he's gotten confused and thought, okay, you want me to stop. And so she's just going to correct him out. You notice she's got her stick there. She's just saying, no, 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 go out at the walk. And there he tried to pull towards the door. And then now he's tried to change directions on her. So he's really quite frazzled. So she's just going to be patient and start over. Ask him to go out at the walk. He's pulling towards the door, so she just holds the rope and bumps his nose back in towards the ring. He thought that meant, okay, come in and see you. So she just gently corrects him, and she's going to be patiently persistent until she gets what she wants. So there she is again, asking very gently for him to go out just at the walk. He thought that meant go out at the trot, and he's thinking about running forward because he's a prey animal, and prey animals tend to get into that fight or flight response. And so he's getting a little bit flighty. He's wanting to run forward. He's trying to run his way out of the situation. And so she's just trying to reassure him, no, just down to the walk. And so there she's got a nice little bit of walk there. That was really good. He started to come in, so she just gently corrects him. He starts to go forward, and she just wiggles the rope. She tries not to pull on the rope to get him to slow down to a walk, because that would mean come to her, because the pressure would be coming in her direction, and it also creates a little bit of a trapping feel. So instead she tries to wiggle on the rope to get him to slow down, and then she's going to make sure she can do this both ways as well. So now she's sending him out to the right and just asking him to go out at the walk. You know, she's being very, very gentle. She's very gently trying to encourage him to go out at the walk there using her stick. He's not quite understanding, so she increased feel on her rope. Now he's gotten really close into her space, so she's backed him up a little bit, and now she's going to try to help him out just by literally pushing his nose out in the direction she wants him to go. Horses that are herd bound and lack confidence like this, they tend to be a little bit on the pushy side and really in your space because they don't have confidence, and they're trying to figure out if you're going to be a safe leader, if you're thinking about your own space, and they're really not being that considerate either. They're not being that respectful of your space because they're not entirely sure if they should trust you. Now, if you can stand your ground, so to speak, and really protect your personal space, that's going to start to make the horse feel a little bit safer. Be like, oh, phew, At least you're paying attention, and that means that you might be able to protect me too. So now she's doing a change of direction. She got a little bit of walk. There he went up into the trot, but then he rethought that and came down to the walk instead and asked a question. And he's looking at her now, and so she's just reiterating, no, go out at the walk. And this takes a lot of patience. And when you're going to work with a herd-bound horse, you need to be able to commit to the task that you put ahead of yourself. So you don't want to bring the horse in and start doing these exercises and asking for a walk. And then if you have to leave halfway through before you've accomplished anything, that can be quite harmful. So don't even bother trying to work with the horse unless you're going to be able to see it through to get something really positive and relaxed. Like right there, Phoenix walked around in a very nice circle for a little bit, and then she disengaged him. You saw her bend over, and that was the cue to stop. And so once she gets a little bit of walking with the horse, we're going to try to do a little bit of work with Phoenix in the barn. So now that we're starting in the barn, what we're going to do is we remember that horses gain confidence when they can encounter something, wait a little bit, have a positive experience, and then get away to safety and try it again. So what we're going to do is we bring Phoenix into the barn, ask him to stand nice and still, just for a short little while, and then we're going to bring him out of the barn and bring him back in. So right now no other horses are in the barn. He's got no other sources of comfort in here other than being with Laura. And Laura hasn't worked with Phoenix a whole lot, so she's still pretty new to Phoenix, and she doesn't house a whole lot of comfort for him, and that's where you can see him really getting antsy, really looking around. He's trying to look back at the door in the arena, trying to see where the other horses are, because that's where he gets his comfort. So now Laura's going to bring him back out, and then she's going to try this again. So she brings him back out into the arena. There's another horse out there that's a source of comfort for him. Shows him that he can go into this barn and be safe. There he kind of pushed into her. He was going to try to avoid the door and push her out of the way, and so Laura just corrected him. It's important that you don't try to punish the horse, that she's not going to get mad at Phoenix and try to hit him and tell him, no, that's bad. She'll correct things in the moment, but if he's being good and being well behaved, then she'll completely leave him alone. So you'll notice she's using her stick like a wall. She's got her stick up nice and high. There she asked him to back up a few steps, and then now turned around nice and gently. And holding her stick up like a wall like that, that's just to protect your space. You don't want the horse thinking it's okay to push into you or to think that they can run over you to get out of back to where their buddies are and get to be where they feel comfortable. They have to understand that running over you is not an option. So she just holds her stick up like a little bit of a wall. And so if he comes into that pressure, he comes into that pressure, she'll just put a little bit of movement in the stick, just to try to tell him, no, get over the other side. So you can see she just put a bit of movement there. So she's not causing pain. She's not being really rough with the stick. You can see he's really preoccupied there, really trying to look around. So she gave him a little bump with the rope, try to keep his head nice and straight, trying to correct him. If you're really on top of things and you're really consistent, and if the horse starts to exit seek like that and you correct it right away, so you can see he turns his head away and she bumps the rope to correct him, then the horse will learn not to do that behavior. And then so she only is asking for a moment of him to stand still, and then she's going back out. So it's going to depend on your horse how much you can ask them to stand still. You'll see the door was shut, and then she waits a moment. She's opened the door a little bit, and then she's going to open it a little bit more and ask Phoenix to wait a little bit again so he's not getting to run back out into the arena with his buddies. And then she's going to turn him around and do it again. And so every time that she comes in and has a positive experience and goes back out, the horse should build confidence each time. And she'll notice here she's rubbing him with a stick a little bit, trying to reassure him that she's not meaning to be firm and aggressive with him, that she is his friend, but that doesn't mean that she's not going to be correcting him when he tries to get in her space like that. So she handled that really well. He was going to try to turn around, and she was able to correct him and get him to stand straight. If your horse does manage to turn you around, it's important that you turn the horse back around in the direction you had them, so that way they understand that they can't turn around. So that's why he's coming in, and we're leaving him facing forwards away from the barn so he can't be looking at the other horses. And then when she's ready, she turns him around to head back to those other horses. So now that he started to calm down a little bit, we're trying a little bit of a fun game with him, which is come in and then search for the carrot. So we put the carrots on the floor in advance, and so we're trying to help him find this to be a positive experience. Now if the horse is really frazzled, really anxious, it's not going to matter what kind of treats you have in the barn, because their instinct for telling them that they're not safe is going to be far worse than telling them that there's a carrot there. It's not going to be equal. They won't care that there's a carrot there if they feel unsafe. So once he started to calm down a little bit, that's when we can bring out a treat like this and have it be a little bit more of a fun game. And we have put the carrot on the floor because what we're hoping will happen is that he comes in and then looks to the space, to the environment, to find what's comfortable there, instead of looking to Laura's hands or her pockets, because that can encourage pushy behavior and we don't want that. So she's taken him out after he got the one carrot. He's resisting there, he doesn't want to come in the barn. So she just was patient, and then you'll notice Phoenix came in. And then we'll see if he can find the second carrot here. And so he's looking for it. He's having a little bit of trouble getting the carrot. It's rolling around on him. So he turned around there. He's feeling a little bit anxious. So Laura's going to turn him back around immediately so he's facing away from the other horse. And then she's just going to help him this time because he was having trouble getting that carrot. So what we might use next time might be a little bit of a roughage scoop or something like that that might not roll around quite as much because he was having trouble with that. So there he started to leave before we were ready, so she stopped him, gave him a friendly rub to tell him that's what she wanted, and then now that he stood still, she'll turn around and take him back out again. So what you should be recognizing here is the pattern of the horse comes in for a short minute, you don't expect a whole lot, you just get them to stand still for a little bit, and then they leave on your terms. And that's really important to be really consistent with that the horse comes in, that they have to be standing still, and then they can leave when you're ready. And so here you get to the point where you can see that lowering of the head. He's really relaxed now, and this is a really good spot to end, or we'd be able to take off the blanket and start grooming him here and proceed with whatever else we want to do with the day.